I've lived in Taiwan for over 17 years. So if I could go back to 2008 and speak to myself before I got on the plane, what advice would I give myself? And for the background for this video, I've come to the beautiful surroundings of Shinse Castle, which should hopefully give you something to look at as opposed to myself. If you get bored of listening to me, you can take a look at this beautiful scenery. So the first point that I'm going to start with is unfortunately a negative one. I wish I knew much more about the levels of air pollution before I came to Taiwan. Here in Taiwan, the air pollution is amongst the worst in the world. It is absolutely terrible. And with my recent diagnosis of Parkinson's, it has raised some concerns as to how much responsibility should be given to the air pollution in the cities, especially in Taichung, where we have one of the world's biggest coal plants pumping out thousands of pollutants into the air every day. I know I've not mentioned it many times before, and I know I like to be positive on this channel, but certainly if I'd done a little bit more research before I came here, then maybe things would have turned out a little bit different. When I came to Taiwan, I did choose to live in the countryside, Dongshi, where the air is a little bit cleaner, but it's still heavily polluted, still has a huge impact on health, and it's maybe something that I wish I'd known before coming here. The next point I'm going to come to is something that I often get criticized online, and that's my Chinese, my Mandarin, my Goyu, whatever you want to call it. It simply isn't good enough. And if I'd known before I was coming to Taiwan how important it is to speak the language, then I probably would have learned much earlier in my life in Taiwan. I originally planned only to come here for a year, and that first year was very easy to get by, very exciting, new experiences, and not speaking Chinese made everything a little bit more fun and challenging. But not learning Chinese in the first year has certainly backfired upon me, and I should have a better level of Chinese. For anybody that's coming to Taiwan, whether you're coming for a year, 5 years, or the rest of your life, learn Chinese as soon as you get here. Take classes, get your tones right, and you will find life in Taiwan becomes much easier, much more comfortable, and you'll get a lot more respect from the locals, which I'm still hoping to get one day in future. And not to mention the fact that it's not just Mandarin that is spoken here. Learning some Taiwanese will also help you be ingratiated into local society and get that extra level of respect above the normal Mandarin speakers. But as well as helping you ingratiate into local society, you will also feel much healthier, much more a part of the local community if you speak the local language and you aren't being looked at as that arrogant white foreigner that comes here and doesn't learn the language, as some people maybe view me as. And the third thing in my list is that digital access to back home can be a pain. Now, of course, over the past 17 years, digital access has become much easier, but it is still very difficult accessing banking sites, streaming platforms, and other sites that are geo-blocked, which brings me to today's video sponsor, NordVPN. NordVPN is a virtual private network that, for anybody who doesn't know, allows you to securely access the internet from anywhere in the world, and that keyword is securely. With one click, NordVPN allows me to securely change my internet location to England, South Africa, or any other country I wish in order to access my bank accounts, streaming platforms, and other geo-blocked websites. And as you can imagine, when dealing with international banking between Taiwan and the UK, it's much safer. It gives me much more peace of mind to know that my connection is super secure, which is offered to me by NordVPN. Everything I do online when using NordVPN is 100% encrypted, which matters more than ever when traveling abroad and living abroad, or especially when using hotspots here in tourist locations, coffee shops, or other places that offer free public Wi-Fi. Whether you're an expat, a traveler, or just someone who values privacy, NordVPN is an essential internet tool. And the amazing thing is that right now, NordVPN are offering Life in Taiwan viewers a huge discount on their service, plus 4 months extra free service when you sign up to one of their 2-year annual plans. Click my link in the description down below and use my code LIFEINTaiwan to access this discount plus the 4 months extra free. I'm certain you won't regret it, and if you do, it's risk-free, as NordVPN offer a 30-day money-back guarantee if you decide that NordVPN is not for you. I think that's enough about NordVPN. Let's continue with the video and get to point number 4. Another thing that I wish I'd known before I came here is regarding the teaching system, the education system of Taiwan, and that's when it comes to English teachers, especially foreign English teachers. not all jobs are created equal. There is a massive difference between the level of job you can get as a foreigner in Taiwan. I was so lucky. I took a job before I arrived in Taiwan. I signed a contract before I arrived in Taiwan. And if I'd ended up in one of the more negative cram schools, it would have been a huge regret. I have heard horror stories from English teachers here in Taiwan, not just about the teaching hours, but the way that they have to teach, the way that they have to grade students unfairly just to keep the parents happy. I'm sure there's a whole other video in this topic, but yes, choosing a teaching job in Taiwan is not something that should be taken with a grain of salt. You should definitely do your research before you come, and if possible, find a job when you come here. Don't take the job before you arrive, as you could end up with a contract in a situation that you regret significantly. One more thing I want to touch on is how special Taiwanese bureaucracy is. The red tape involved in some of the processes we have to go through, not just as foreigners, but the Taiwanese locals too, is insane. They still have to use wooden stamps for signing their name, a very cute tradition that seems much more 19th century than 21st century. And in particular, when it comes to banking, the red tape and bureaucracy is insane. If I'd known before I came here that I'm going to have to need my national insurance number, something I've not used since I was 16, then I would prepare for it and I would have it ready. So much red tape and bureaucracy in Taiwan that we don't tend to face as much in the West. Even 17 years ago, I think our systems were a little bit more refined, a little bit more up to date with modern culture. And talking of bureaucracy, one other thing I wish I'd known was the full details of how long it took to get an APRC to become a permanent resident of Taiwan. I got my APRC in 2018, 10 years after living here, when it should only take 5 years. My old school screwed up my administration, my bureaucracy, my red tape, so that after 4 years, my calendar reset and I had to wait another 5 years. If I'd known the importance of not letting your ARC lapse, not letting your ARC fall out of date, then of course it would have only taken me 5 years to get my APRC instead of the 9 or 10 that it actually took. No big deal in the long term, as I was always going to stay here, but things may have turned out a little bit differently if I'd have known how important the bureaucracy and the red tape was going to be. Point number 6 is something that maybe I didn't necessarily wish I knew before I came to Taiwan, but I certainly didn't know, and that's how good the national health insurance system is. It is mind-blowing how efficient, how speedy, how high quality the national health insurance system is here in Taiwan. And if we compare it to the national health insurance system of the UK, there are similarities, especially when it comes to the cost and being funded by the taxpayer. But here in Taiwan, especially recently, I've noticed how important the free healthcare system is. And I think especially any North American viewers will be very surprised at how cheap, efficient, and high quality the national health insurance system is. My one criticism of the health insurance system may be how speedy and rushed it feels sometimes. A lot of Taiwanese people take advantage of the free healthcare, go to the doctor maybe a little more often than they need to, which puts a lot of pressure on the system, a lot of pressure on doctors to get through patients as quickly as possible. But not complaining, it's been very good to me recently, and if I'd known this before I came to Taiwan, it definitely would have made my decision much easier to come here. One other thing I certainly was aware of but didn't realize to how much extent was how much I would miss the weirdly specific things from life in the UK. Yes, of course, I miss my mum and my dad and my sister. I miss my son in South Africa, but I miss the sarcasm, the ability to make a funny, weird joke and not be judged for it. It's an oddly British thing, not so much North American, but sarcasm is something that I really miss and often get judged for in Taiwan for making jokes that just aren't true. People think I'm a liar. I think it's hilarious. There's certainly a clash of cultures. So I do miss my dad's sarcasm, sitting on the sofa cracking jokes with my dad. But of course, other than that, the less serious things I miss, things like crumpets, jacket potatoes, roast dinners on a Sunday, so many things that I miss from the UK. But as an expat, you kind of accept that some things are going to be missing from your life. You're only going to get them when you go back home. But if my one piece of advice to anybody that meets me in Taiwan is just understand my sense of humor is very British, very specific, and very sarcastic. That's going to bring me on to my point number 8, which is Taiwanese food. I wish I'd known how delicious and how varied Taiwanese food is. Are you going to walk backwards down this hill? Okay. Taiwanese food is incredibly special. Yes, it's very heavily influenced by Chinese food, some Japanese influences, but Taiwanese food is definitely something that I wish I'd known a lot more about and dove into much earlier in my life in Taiwan. I definitely avoided some of the more scary looking foods that are more delicious than they appear. So maybe if I'd started eating Taiwanese food a little bit earlier, I would be maybe 150 kgs instead of just 100 kgs. A very personal point that I want to add in, which is very specific to me and maybe to some other foreigners experience the same thing, is that I wish I would have known how much Taiwan changes my personality. I'm almost certain I would be a very different person mentally if I'd stayed in England for the past 17 years and just been a normal member of society. Being a foreigner in Taiwan makes you special. Regardless of what you are back in your home country, when you come to Taiwan, you will be pointed out in the street, you'll be greeted by people in the street, you'll be revered, especially if you take a job as a teacher. Teachers are treated much more respectfully here than they are in the UK. People greet you as hello teacher, good morning teacher, and it makes you feel special, even though a lot of foreigners here in Taiwan are not qualified as teachers. The only qualifications we have is a perfect native English speaking level that allows us to teach kids in cram schools. I'm not too sure what kind of person I've become. Maybe my friends will be a better judge of character, but I'm certain I've become a different person mentally than I would have been if I'd stayed in the UK. Comment down below with your thoughts on this one, because I'm very interested to know what you think of any foreigners that you've bumped into in Taiwan. Do you think they represent people from their home country naturally, or do you think there's a certain arrogance or certain specialness to these people that you've met in Taiwan? I'd be really interested to know my viewers' thoughts on this one. My penultimate point is going to bring me to how safe Taiwan is, because yes, it's a common online story about how safe Taiwan is, often second or third safest country in the world, but Taiwan is also famous for scams, phishing, credit card scams, online banking scams. I've just recently had a friend who was scammed out of 600,000 Taiwanese dollars, then had to pay $1 million in lawyer's fees to defend himself from being accused as the scam artist. Really dangerous when it comes to online banking. Most of the time, Taiwanese people are the victims. Foreigners tend to get avoided. Usually when they phone us to scam us and I say, do you speak English? The phone gets hung up. We don't get too much problems when it comes to scam artists, but I do want to make it clear that when people say Taiwan is safe, Taiwanese people are honest. There are also a small percentage of Taiwanese people that will happily scam you out of your money. So that's going to bring me to number 10 in the list of things I wish I'd known before I came to Taiwan. And number 10 definitely has to be, I wish I'd known that foreign bubbles exist in Taiwan, and I wish I'd stayed out of them for the first couple of years at least. It's so easy to live in Taiwan in a foreign bubble, go to foreign restaurants, meet foreign friends, do foreign things, and avoid anything Taiwanese. My advice to myself 17 years ago would probably have been maybe spend 1 day a week in your foreign bubble, but the other 6 days a week, integrate yourself into Taiwanese society. Join a Taiwanese club, go to language exchange, do Taiwanese things, go to the fresh vegetable market every morning, practice Tai Chi in the park with the grandpas and grandmas in the morning, or simply accept more invitations to KTVs from Taiwanese friends singing more Chinese songs. Taiwan is full of activities. There is a hobby for everybody to do, whether it's hiking, scuba diving, Tai Chi, as I mentioned, and it's a perfect way to integrate yourself with Taiwanese people and get to know how Taiwanese people think and do things and make yourself a little bit more of Taiwanese society as opposed to living in that foreign bubble. Another bonus factor that I wish I'd known before I came to Taiwan was how popular foreign YouTubers were going to be in the 2010s to 2020s. I started my channel in 2017. I think if I'd started my channel maybe 4 or 5 years earlier, just as William was born, started the family YouTube channel here in Taiwan, then maybe would have been a lot more popular. I would have made a lot more money, and maybe I wouldn't have to be stressing so much about income nowadays, now that there's so much competition on YouTube. I think if I'd started 5 or 6 years earlier, definitely would have had a more beneficial effect on my income. So there you have it. There's my 10 things that I wish I'd known before I came to Taiwan all those many moons ago. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have anything to reply, comment down below on any of the points I made. Thanks for watching. Thanks so much for your support. And as always, don't forget to go check out that link in the description down below. Get yourself hooked up to NordVPN and take advantage of their discounts for Life in Taiwan viewers with 4 months extra free service. You can't say fairer than that. As for now, time for me to say goodbye. I'll see you next time in my Life in Taiwan. Peace. Bye-bye.